I was reading reputable news source Destiny Bulletin, and I had an idea earlier. When I say reading, I mean I was doom scrolling on Twitter and was just so happened to be subjected to one of their articles. If you didn't know, Bungie has changed Destiny 2's store description on Steam, removed, quote, Destiny 2 is an action MMO with a single evolving world that you and your friends can join anytime, anywhere, absolutely free, end quote, and the description was added, quote, dive into the world of Destiny 2 to explore the mysteries of the solar system and experience responsive first-person shooter combat, unlock powerful elemental abilities, and collect unique gear to customize your Guardian's look and playstyle. Now, this really shouldn't surprise anybody. Steam pages get updated all the time, and in my opinion, Destiny 2 really was never an MMO in the first place, despite my copium wanting to think it's an MMO. It really has never been an MMO from its inception. You could call it a looter shooter, action FPS, a lot of things, but an MMO really isn't one of them. In my opinion, it's not an MMO because this is just a lack of a shared world. Then I went down the rabbit hole of investigating MMOs and how their business is being done today. You know, Final Fantasy XIV, WoW, ESO, Guild Wars, you know, just a couple things. And I found one common thread. Despite the fact that the industry has largely moved away from subscription-based models, these are still businesses which, if not extraordinarily successful, have been successful enough to withstand the test of time for 10 plus years, the same way that Destiny has stood the test of time for 10 plus years, except all of these other games use subscription-based models, whereas Destiny is still on the a la carte yearly, biannual releases, and trying to apply some lessons from other MMOs to Destiny, specifically because this is no longer being considered as a single evolving world. How can we make Destiny better, or at least give new players an easier entry point to Destiny 2? Now, this video is to not talk about the Destiny new player experience. I mean, actually, once you own all of the assets of the game and you're hopping into Destiny 2 for the first time, I'm not going to be discussing that. If you want to watch another video where I do discuss that, I played through around the first 10 hours of Destiny and detailed everything wrong with it in this video on screen right now. But getting into it, I really think that Destiny should have a monthly or yearly subscription model instead of premium paid expansions, or at least as an option besides premium paid expansions. Now, I would imagine that subscribing would give full access to the game with every expansion, something like World of Warcraft. This would make it easier for new players to come in and wouldn't matter for players who are already in the service, since we treat the game like a once-a-year paid subscription whenever we buy the premium version of a new expansion to get all the year's content. I don't know about you, but I have just been treating Destiny as a once-off $100 a year purchase whenever the Ultimate Edition or Collector's Edition comes out. I'm on an alternate account right now. I'm pretending that I am a new player who maybe has played Destiny 2 for the free-to-play trial, or saw a video for somebody online, or saw a trailer for new DLC, was excited, you know, trying to get into the game for the first time ever. How on earth am I going to get into Destiny? So we're going to go to the Steam page, assuming we're playing on Steam. We're going to play Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy. Oh, okay, content for this game. Let's check it out. Let's browse all of the available content for Destiny. We scroll down, we check it out. Oh man, that's a lot of content. And if we look at it again, almost $600 worth of DLC for Destiny just by looking at this content for this game. And then if I actually wanted to add all the DLC to my cart, fortunately, it doesn't actually let you check out from there because there's a little bit of confliction with some of the newer Destiny 2 content. But just imagine I actually sit here and read all the descriptions for everything that says already in cart, and I decide to myself, hey, wait a second, I'm gonna take some of these things out so I can actually get my cart to look correct so I can buy it. We have a grand total of $284.89 worth of DLC here. Now, this is absurdly expensive to jump into any new game for the first time. In fact, it reminds me of another game that is just exorbitantly expensive to jump into for the first time. But I'll get to that in just one second. We are then going to go back into the store after clearing our cart. We're going to look around a little bit more. We're going to see, hey, wait a second, we have a Destiny 2 Legacy Collection, a huge discount, 60% off 70. Going to look at all the bundle info. Oh, most of the expansions are here. If not all of the expansions are sitting right here for me to pick up. Add this to my cart. Once I'm actually in my cart, I'm going to realize, wait a second, we don't actually have this year's worth of content. It doesn't come with the Legacy Collection. We're going to go back into the store and we're going to try our very best to buy Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy. There are 4 editions of it. You can buy Renegades and Edge of Fate separately. You can buy the Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy, which, you know, it doesn't actually make any sense, but we're going to buy the Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy. When I say it doesn't make any sense, $39.99 and $39.99 effectively is $80, and $79.99 is effectively $80. There's no discount for buying the Year of Prophecy. It just costs the same. So we're going to add that $79.99 to our cart, and when we actually go to check out, it is $149.99 for a brand new player to be completely caught up. When I say caught up, I mean to be completely able to be caught up, to play all of the content that Destiny has to offer. $150. Now that is it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for some people, especially for people who haven't been able to experience Destiny before, because the free-to-play trial for Destiny 2 is not very good. It really is not very good. You're locked out of too much. Your options are so limited that I would argue that this game basically is still pay to play, even if it is technically free to play. But I'm not going to waste $150 just for the purpose of making this video. The reason why I did that order of events in that specific order is because somebody I spoke to recently in the last 3 weeks did that exact order of things. They wanted to get into Destiny, played the free trial, realized that there was several $100s worth of DLC that they would have had to purchase to get back into it. And then at the end of the day, they realized they didn't even like the game. It was too much to go through because the new player experience when you're actually in the game is putrid. There has to be a better way to do business than to overload your customers with choices and hope that they make mistakes. Fortunately, Steam prevents the worst excesses of this, but why do we have a bunch of individual content packs for the game if they're all going to be available in a Legacy Collection bundle right next to it? And no, this is not considering sales or evil sales when the price actually ends up costing more. But there is just a lot to go through when you're looking at it from this option. Now, we're going to compare this to something like World of Warcraft, where if you wanted to get into World of Warcraft, there are two things you need to do. For starters, you have to choose what subscription tier you want to do, a 1 month, a 3 month, a 6 month, or a 1 year. Obviously, the best value is going to be in the yearly subscription. You're going to save a little bit of money compared to just subscribing for 1 month at a time. And on top of this, you also need to buy the newest World of Warcraft expansion. As of the time of making this video, it is the War Within, but they are very shortly coming out with a brand new expansion. Now, what this means is that if you really wanted to play World of Warcraft right now, you would have to first pick a subscription tier. For me, I probably would end up doing the 12 months just to save some money. And then you would also have to pick up the World of Warcraft War Within at the time. That is $155 plus an additional $29.99. That on paper is a little bit more expensive than Destiny 2. Not much, but it still is more expensive. But you have to consider this for a second. Included within the World of Warcraft subscription is literally every single piece of content that was ever released for the game. This goes all the way back to Vanilla, Cataclysm, whatever all the other ones are called, Mr. Pandaria. I fell off of World of Warcraft after Lich King. So I really don't know nowadays, but it's still everything. It is everything. And there isn't a bunch of little DLCs. Really, the cheapest you could get into World of Warcraft 4, for a month at least, is $14.99 plus $30. Basically $45 plus sales tax to play World of Warcraft. And if at that point you've played through World of Warcraft for a month is a lot of time, by the way. If you played World of Warcraft for a month, you could then decide, hey, wait a second, I don't like this game. I'm going to cancel my subscription, so I'm not going to subscribe for the next month. And unfortunately, you can't get your refund for the expansion you just bought, but oh well. Sunk cost fallacy. You paid $30 for the DLC and $15 for the expansion that you can't reclaim, a total of $40. If for Destiny 2 you decide that you don't like the game, once you have all of the content, you have spent $150. $150 to have access to all the Destiny content. You play it for a month and realize, wait a second, this is awful. You've now spent $150 on a game that you're never going to give a second chance to because you were burned by it one time. Now, I reckon that this was something that happened with a lot of players for Lightfall. You know, as you can see, a lot of players would have bought in Lightfall in February 2023, and then it has just gone downhill from there. Now, part of this is because the story ended. I would reckon that the part of this is because Lightfall was such a it was a bad expansion. Lightfall was genuinely a bad expansion, so they would have played it and then never returned once again. Now imagine, instead of those players spending the $90 or $80 or $60, whatever edition they bought for Lightfall, to get Lightfall, they instead had the option to buy a subscription for 1 month. They would get access to all of the content Destiny has to offer. From my point of view, the business model that they would have to have in Destiny to make this work is to just make it so that the subscription gets you permanent access to all content that Destiny would have to offer. And on top of that, offer players the option to purchase the content outright. Because doing just a little bit of math, a 12-month subscription, right, at these prices at least, would cost more than just going on Steam and buying all of the content together. But this is the discount. You get the discount for believing the game and giving them the money straight up, and you would pay a little bit more for the expansions, but at the same time, you could leave at any time by canceling your subscription. It's all about sunk costs. In my opinion, this is the most player-friendly way to create a new model which would incentivize not only new players to come into the game, but allow players that aren't having fun with the game at any given time to end their relationship with it and then come back at a later date, just so people are not perpetually burned by Bungie or by Sony or whatever business practices that you're not a fan of at that particular moment. If the meta's bad, cancel your subscription until the meta's good again. I know the meta's never going to be good for Crucible players at least, but I digress. In my opinion, this would be a win-win for everybody. Destiny would get the Destiny players, at least new players, would get to try the game for much cheaper. They'd stick around for longer since they bought a subscription, so they'd be incentivized to play for the entire month just to try to get their money's worth for it. Some would convert from a subscription into a permanent customer by buying the package ahead of time, so they didn't have to pay the premium to subscribe monthly. Right, like I said in my example, it would cost around $167 per year if they made the subscription tier for $13.99, which is just a little bit less expensive than World of Warcraft, and they would get all of the content for the game. Now you say to yourself, oh, this would never work. I'm going to point my finger to something. I recently started playing a Paradox game. My first Paradox game that I have ever played. It's called Stellaris. Came out in 2016, 1 year before Destiny 2. And I was just playing vanilla. I didn't buy any of the DLC, and I was a little bit interested in seeing what the DLC was like. I scrolled down. Wait a second. Oh man, it's as egregious as the Destiny 2 DLC packages. Oh no, I'm never going to buy any of these because I don't know if any of it's good. But then I scroll up in the Steam store. There's a expansion subscription. There's a subscription service built into Stellaris because they thought the same thing that I did. It is too much for a new customer to come in for the first time and get hit with several $100, $1,000 worth of DLC and have to decide that. If they want it, they can do it. And even here, right, for a game like Stellaris, it starts at $9.99 a month for access to every single piece of DLC, or $30 for 6 months, albeit, admittedly, you do not have permanent ownership of this DLC because it is a subscription service, but you want to play Stellaris for 6 months. You spend $30 to get all of the DLC instead of $500, right? Think of it this way. That is $60 a year. It would take you 5 entire years of paying that subscription price take you 5 entire years of paying that subscription price instead of just buying the DLC. And even then with the DLC, you still have to pay the premium whenever new DLCs come out. Now, admittedly, I don't know the development cycle of Stellaris, but I do know it's still getting consistent updates similar to Destiny 2. And Stellaris, as you can see, has just a lot of DLC packs. Anyway, all of this is to say, I think that it is time for some new ideas when it comes to both monetization and player incentives to come into the game. I know some work was done to incentivize old players to come back into the game by giving them bonuses for playing the game with people who are already in the game. The returners boon system, if you will. I believe it's called the returners boon system, but that doesn't address the base point that not only is the Destiny new player experience, returning player experience really bad, but it costs a lot of money to figure out that you're just not into something. And that may be Bungie's business practices. However, a certain Pete Parsons left the studio and they have new Sony overlords to look up to. So I'm not convinced that this would actually happen. I don't know how Sony feels about subscription-based models, but I do think that something like this would be worth experimenting with. Now, this is not like the microtransactions that they tried to do a couple months ago, where it was players just buying a couple of exotics for $10, which were almost instantly removed from the Steam store once players found out about it. But I think that this is a bold idea, at least. It's definitely a little bit too bold for Bungie, but I wouldn't be upset if a new system like that was found out, because it is a lot easier for me as somebody who has over 4,000 hours in Destiny 2 to justify telling one of my friends or one of my family members, anybody that wants to play this game. It's a lot easier for me to justify telling them, oh yeah, it's a subscription service, just pay $13.99 or $14.99 for the first month, and then you decide if you like the game, because you'll have access to all of the content. And if they don't like it, they've only spent $13, $14. You can't be mad at a company forever for burning you for only $13, but you sure as shit can be mad for $70, for $100, for $300, for $584.84. So besides that, I would like to thank each and every single one of you for watching. If you haven't already, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'd like to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so boom, there's your call to action. If you could help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know what you think about this particular idea, if you would pay for Destiny as a subscription service, if you think that making a cheaper barrier for entry to the game, if you think that that would be something that you would go for, or if the greater community would enjoy. Let me know. Let's have this discussion. And besides that, I hope each and every single one of you has a great day. Remember, you matter to someone somewhere. If not, you matter to me. And until next time, thank you for watching, and take care now.